The following is a special presentation of the Buccaneers Sports Network. This is the Jay and Keith Show. Two broadcasters, two microphones, and one meticulously scripted podcast.
You what?
Just kidding. Get it, J.K.? You get it.
That's what I thought was so funny. It's not funny.
Alongside Keith Brake, here's the voice of the Bucs, Jay Sandos.
You know what I think's funny about that, Keith Brake, in the intro that you wrote and got voiced by Marcus Newland is the fact that you used the word scripted in there, and I don't know if people know I can't read, but did you do that on purpose? Is that like one of those things you did on purpose?
Yeah, that's the thing I did on purpose. I was trying to help present a better image of you to the audience. But then we turn around and we blow that with Jay knows the English language, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think people see the ironicies of it. What?
Nothing.
Okay.
I got nothing.
All right. That's the Greek god of irony. I don't know if you know that. That's that is something I said as a 19-year-old broadcaster that has lived on forever.
Ironicies. I think you're thinking of is it Nemesis is the goddess of vengeance.
I was not thinking of that. No. I think I was trying to somehow conjugate ironic or something, and that's what I came up with in my head.
Just you're looking for irony?
Probably.
I think we.
I mean, you're asking me to ask 19-year-old Jay what he was doing.
I think we've stepped into a whole pile of irony, right? A whole mess of irony, a cornucopia of irony.
Ooh, have you ever ate one of those? Those are awesome.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
That's just like you get the one with all the fruit in it, right?
You can do other stuff, but yes.
I guess you could also do a meat cornucopia.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
Yeah, I believe that.
Okay.
What's in the meat cornucopia?
Well, what isn't? I mean, you're talking about all your cuts of meats. If you're going to do a charcuterie board, they just are usually not cut up or sliced up at that point in time.
Charcuterie.
Then you could throw in, the wings and some other things. I mean, I want to do it with bagel bites and pizza rolls and Spam and some other good things. That's Vienna sausages. I mean, what else could you throw in that thing?
Spam?
Oh, you're not knocking Spam, are you?
I just
When's the last time you had Spam?
Spam?
Yeah. Fry it up, put on some you can make dude.
With like fresh chicken wings. I would
poor man's sushi right there. You go ahead and fry up some Spam, put on rice, roll it up. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I think we need to roll up this intro and start talking basketball.
Okay. That's your loss. I mean, I could talk about Spam all day. All right.
Yes, you could spam me with Spam discourse.
Spam. How about Spam and Sam?
Got spam, basketball and Spam.
Spam, Samford. I don't know how to do it.
Spamford.
There's not really a way to transition that.
How about we get spammed with Marshall? That's what we got last night.
Oh my
A lot
gosh.
of great jump shots from him. 17 points, 12 rebounds. His third double-double in league play, I believe. And Samford gets the win.
Here's where I want to start. The two plays that I think, again, have summed up ETSU's home losing streak. One, I thought ETSU defended the play before halftime about as good as humans could do it because forcing Marshall into the 30-foot double clutch three is about as good as defense as you could get. But tip your cap, he hit the shot. And then he rolled into the next half and hit the first three in like 8 seconds in. Which I would like to state, the start of the first half and second half might be the two quickest scores combined I've seen in a long time because the Bucs scored in 3 seconds off the opening tap.
Yes.
And then it was like 6 seconds.
I think 6 or 7, yeah.
And even 8. Let's give it 8 seconds.
Well, let's consult the actual play-by-play and see when he hit 9 seconds.
But I'm saying Kevin Brown was low hitting the keystroke to say it was good, so I'm going 8. And if he doesn't like it, I think he can hear me. He can come on in here. Although he's in a bad mood, I would probably lose that fight today. So
Kevin's in a bad mood.
Well, I mean, ETSU lost. He's always in a bad mood.
I was gonna say Kevin is typically in a bad mood, just in general. The other day we were talking about recruiting stuff, and I just said Kevin, you're just the Eeyore of the media relations department. I'm gonna put a big old poster of Eeyore on your office door.
Did he know who that was?
Yes.
Okay.
And Mike Ezekiel knew who that was too, and he fell out of his chair laughing because Mike's easy to make laugh.
That's fair. When does Mike not laugh at anything?
Ooh.
I feel like he chuckles no matter what. Just go in there and
Mike
ask him
is just
something
a
and see if he
jovial
chuckles.
soul.
He is.
Yeah.
He's a happy guy.
Yeah, he's expectant father, all that. He's got a great life. He's doing all that good stuff. Doesn't have a
newly married, all blah blah blah.
Yeah,
you gotta go. All right. So the first play we just talked about, the double clutch 3, I thought ETSU did again defensively all you could do. The next play, down 4, 2.5 to go. Coach wants Struthers to get the half court to call a timeout. As Struthers getting towards half court, Staten McRae makes a great play, knocking the ball away before he could get the timeout, going down, hits the layup, got fouled. ETSU then decides not to call a timeout, run back down the court, miss a shot. Then McRae hits another one. All of a sudden, he scores like 5 of his 7 points, and ETSU goes from 4 to 9 quickly, and that was it. But those 2 plays, giving up a double clutch 30-foot 3, which I feel like was defended about as good as you could do, and then not being able to get 2 steps to half court to get the timeout before the ball's stolen. That has summed up, I think, the home streak.
Yeah, I think so. I will say, and I think you alluded to this in the postgame with Desmond Oliver last night, I thought this was the most uniformly strong effort from ETSU in one of these 4 home games that we've seen them come up empty in. There were times where you'd see, lulls on defense and the other team starts hitting shots and ETSU gets really deflated. I felt like even when Samford got up 12, that the Bucks never lost their fight. And that's the first time that happened in this homestand, and I think that is something that's encouraging. Whatever other factors go on, you don't have Josh Taylor probably at least the rest of the regular season. You got a lot of other stuff going on. I would say that is probably the best 40 minutes the Bucks have played in Freedom Hall and SoCon play. Samford just was deeper. They came up with shots when they needed them. They made 1 or 2 plays that changed the complexity of that game, like you're talking about, and that was the difference. I don't think a 10-point score or 10-point final score has never necessarily it was really even necessarily fair to the final outcome of the game. I thought it was a more competitive game than that, and ETSU never just rolled over. They never got down by 20 and just started doing whatever they wanted on offense. They didn't fold in a situation where I think it would have been very easy for them to just fold. And that tells me that there is a chance, and whether they'll take it or not, whether it will ultimately come to fruition or not, there is a chance that this team can right the ship a little bit in the middle third of SoCon play, as we're now, 7 games into the league.
I think that was my biggest takeaway. Again, 21 years I've sat in the seat. I think I've earned a little bit of clout on when I think a team competed and got beat as opposed to a team maybe didn't compete as well or beat themselves. Yes. And yes, there were things ETSU could have done better to win the game, but this season, I have seen that on the road with a fully loaded squad where they looked like that. They were engaged. They were all over the place. There wasn't bad body language. There wasn't poutiness. There wasn't feeling sorry for oneself. It was, and I thought they were that yesterday at home. They have not shown that at home a lot this season, and so I thought that was a great step forward that they were able to do that and do that for 40 minutes. And I think if they could have figured out how to lock in like that the whole year that way, they would have a lot more wins on their schedule page right now. Now, I agree with you. They got 2. Now, they've been better on the road. They got 2 road games, Chattanooga, and we'll talk about that later.
Which is kind of just,
Well, we'll talk about the game in Furman, too, here when we get to a little SoCon segment. But
yeah.
And then they got at Mercer, which is still a winnable game, too. So they could still use this, get a couple wins, come back home for Chattanooga, figure out how to finally – to me, is there a better way to end a losing streak than to beat Chattanooga at home? What kind of dance do you think I would do?
I think you would do a cartwheel on the floor.
Boom, I will do that. I will do a cartwheel on the floor. We'll put it out there on Buck Sports Network.
We're gonna have multiple doctors on standby, including your chiropractor for your back.
Ooh, I wonder if I call and say Monday, I just need an appointment and get it like the Monday after the 30th. I'll get one on the 30th.
I think you're going to need it that night, bud.
Oh, that's fair. All right.
I would just get can you just hook your chiropractor up with tickets?
Yes.
There you go.
My old chiropractor was actually at the Courtside Club last night, so maybe I just I can text him and say, hey, if I need a one-off from my cartwheel incident, do you mind? I'm doing that. Anyways, I think there is, and again, we're not trying to not address that Tipler wasn't there. We'll get to there in a second, but the fact they had no Josh Taylor, they did not have DeAnthony Tipler, and they were able to fight and compete like they've had done on the road and fully staffed, if you will, or fully rostered with everybody playing, I think was a great sign forward. Now, it didn't equal a win. You're getting to the point of the season where, let's be honest, moral victories don't count any. You need to start winning. And the SoCon is so jumbled right now, and this is not the SoCon where the top 2 or 3 teams that have been running away with the league have really ran away. Now, Sanford's undefeated. It's one team has ran away or starting to run away from the rest of the league. But there's not 3 teams where we've seen UNCG, Wofford, ETSU be in that mix, or Furman, UNCG, Chad, or whatever the combination of teams have been. It's not there yet. So I think ETSU still has a great opportunity to get some wins together, to get a middle-of-the-pack seed, and I don't think that Sanford, even though they're undefeated, and I'm not knocking Sanford because they've won every game and they've proven to win all these tight games, that they are so unbeatable that it is them and everybody else. I still think there are teams that can get to Asheville, can win 3 in a row. Obviously, if a team's playing Friday. We've seen teams get to the championship game from Friday. I'm not saying you can't do it. ETSU happened to beat one of those teams in the 30-4-year Wofford, who were the defending champions and where the 10 seed was able to get all the way there. Western Carolina and Furman have each gotten from Friday to the championship Monday before. So it is a thing that has happened in the Southern Conference and can happen. That being said, to win that 4th game is very difficult and a tall task. So ETSU can still win. I thought it was great. I think Jaden Seymour continues to make great strides.
Agreed.
The foul trouble is the only thing that really took him out of play.
Yes, I would agree with that. I think Jaden has continued to be really, really good, and is now going to be very important. We talked about him as kind of being a player that can help link the backcourt with the bigs. I mean, he is a big himself. He's a forward himself, big dude. But at the same time, like, he's a guy that can pass the ball pretty well or pretty capably when you need him to. And he's somebody that has started to get a little bit more confidence in his jump shot. We saw another 3 go down for Seymour last night. That's somebody that is going to be really important to the success that ETSU hopes to have down the stretch.
I think Braden Illick continues to get better.
Agreed.
I would like to make one suggestion, though. Obviously, he can shoot the basketball. I think when prime example, second half, there was a pump fake. I think it was Dye went flying by, Dye or Marshall, whoever's guarding him at that point, went flying by him. I thought he could have took a dribble or two and got to the rim, and instead he side dribble 3, which, again, he can shoot. I would like to see him not just be the spot-up 3-point shooter, because at 6'9", I would like his game to grow, and I think that would be an opportunity for him to take a dribble and a pull-up little 6 or 8-footer, or him get to the rim, which he did get to the rim for a layup in the first half. That would be my only thing. I think he's proven to be a little tougher on the defensive end, and people maybe gave him credit for. I think he goes and tries to hunt rebounds.
Yep.
I think he's very smart on the offensive end and doesn't do a lot to hurt ETSU offensively. He certainly is talented enough to knock down jumpers. That's my only thing. His next step. Now, I don't know that he's going to be able to do that this year, but as he gets better, the one thing I would like to see him improve upon is if he's able to hit some shots and smart enough to do a pump fake, see people go by him, I would like to see him maybe take that next step. That's the only thing, and I don't think that's a huge thing right now for a true freshman.
I also love what he brings to the table as a screener. When Alan Struthers hit a coast-to-coast layup, he got the rebound, and it was against a press, and I'm not even sure it was necessarily a rebound. Maybe it was an inbound. But Braden Illick came to midcourt, and he set a screen, and when the guy ran into it, I heard the thwack of him smacking against Illick and then smacking the floor as Struthers raced by. And that kind of blunted the full court press for Samford a little bit. And like Des talked about in his postgame last night, the pressure didn't bother ETSU as much as maybe it has in the past. And I think that's pretty consequential, and Illick played a role in that. And if you can get out there and set screens, you're going to be somebody that's going to have a role for ETSU. Certainly with the guards and the way they want to work and the way that this offense wants to work is, you screen and screen as much as you can until you find the mismatch. That's kind of how they do it in the NBA these days. Is guys come out for Luka and they set ball screen and ball screen and ball screen until you switch onto the guy that Luka thinks he can take one-on-one. Just as an example, Luka Doncic. So I would say if that's what ETSU wants to do, then there's a huge opportunity for Illick to get floor time because he is good at that. And this is somebody who I think has a ton of potential. Like, I think that of Jeremy Gregory, too. I know defensively things have not been smooth for Gregory, but I still believe in that young man's upside. I love his effort. I love his activity. I love how he goes to the rim offensively, defensively. Now, there's still some work that he needs to be able to do in the paint with his body, versus using his hands, using his body to defend a little bit more, using his chest to defend a little bit more. Those are some things that I think he can probably still work on and needs to work on. But ultimately, I think both of the freshmen that are the true freshmen for ETSU have a lot of potential, and Illick is racing to meet that potential very quickly.
Yeah, that's a good point about Gregory, because if you're using your hands and forearm and not getting your body and chest, then a guy can just back you straight down, right?
Right. And you're probably going to get called for a foul in the process.
That too, right? Because once this, one hand or forearm, you extend, two hands on the back, all that good stuff. So I thought a couple of things. One, Jalen Haynes had that look in his eye and was an animal that really Samford didn't have a lot of answer for. Mm-hmm. They tried a little zone on him. They tried double teaming. And other than the one time, I think, where Haynes stopped himself twice. One, he actually blocked his own shot with the underside of the backboard. I don't know if you saw that one. He spun, and when he went up to come under the hoop, I guess he lost kind of where he was, and he went up, and the foam knocked the ball out of his hand as he went up to lay it up. And then there was another one where I think he wanted a foul, but going back and looking at it, he kind of tripped over, I think, his own feet. I don't think he really tripped over anybody else. But other than that, I thought he was an animal offensively. 8 rebounds, did some good things. I think even though Jordan King, 2 of 7, and they did everything they could to try to stop him from getting the basketball, he had 6 rebounds, 4 assists, no turnovers. Yep. I mean, you're talking about being fully engaged and doing everything. Plus, I think Jordan, since the Citadel game, has been very good defensively and pot committed to trying away from the basketball to not let his man get the ball. I think that's something that, I have seen that has jumped out at me. I think it's good when Harrison can get a couple threes going in. But, again, there's some nice pieces. I thought Justice Smith finally went back to the mid-range jumper, which I think he's very good at. Yeah,
I'd agree. And I really did enjoy seeing Mari knock down 2 threes in the first half. That's somebody that, Des talked about it in postgame last night. Jamarius Harrison went to the staff and said, hey, I want a chance to show what I can do. And they said, okay, earn it. And he went out in practice on Monday. And I was at practice on Monday, and he played his butt off. He was diving on the ground for loose balls, just really locked in the whole time. And he earned the opportunity to go out there and show what he could do. And he hit a couple big shots in the first half. And, it wasn't there in the second half. But for somebody who's been looking for more minutes, I think Hairston showed a justification for more minutes. Certainly when there are going to be more minutes to have. I think he's somebody that's going to play a little bit more. I think he's somebody that is going to be maybe given the flashing yellow light instead of the green light, but the flashing yellow light to take some threes. If you're open, take it. And he did that last night. He made multiple threes in the game for the first time this year. And I would love to see that come together in the home stretch for Hairston and for the ETSU bench, because Lord knows they need as much bench production as they can get.
They're going to be short-handed because I'm still not convinced Brock isn't going to miss more time.
Yes.
And then that's, Taylor's may not play the rest of this year. I mean, so they're going to have to get Hairston some production. They really need Illick, who I think, again, both those guys showed last night can go a long way. Plus, I think now starting to see some extended minutes for some guys that coach didn't want to play 30, kind of want to get like 30 minutes-ish, maybe 31. Guys are getting 34, 35. I mean, in the second half, you're talking about Justice Smith and Jordan basically went the full 20. Now, they were able to sub at the 8:13 mark, and so then the under 8 timeouts, they got a little 13-second rest in the scorebook, so it was really, 19 minutes some change. But
1947.
Right, but I mean, they basically played 20 minutes. Let's don't split here. The other thing I think that has shown is shooting in both halves have been tough, home and away. 5 threes in the first half, and I didn't think ETSU would have 10 threes in the game, but I thought they would get 1 second-half three, 0 for 9. And I think that was really –
that hurts.
They needed one to go down somewhere. And there were – I thought out of the 9 threes, there were 2 forced. And there were a couple into shot clock where cleanish, but into shot clock, I mean, somebody's got to shoot it, right?
Yeah, I will say Struthers is at his best when he can get to the rim. I don't think you even late in the shot clock, that's something has gone sideways at some point. If Struthers is jacking up threes, that's not a shot that I think is in his arsenal right now. He needs to be able to get downhill. Even pull up free throw line jumpers are better than threes for Struthers, I think. He just doesn't quite have the confidence at range yet, the way that a King does, the way that even a Justice Smith does at times. That's just not something that I think is necessarily part of his tool set as a redshirt freshman. So seeing him take 3 of those 9, you could tell like ETSU was not getting. Part of it was the Bucks were able to get some interior passes, and then they could facilitate off of that. Maybe it was on the baseline, and then you attack, and it's or baseline catch and jumper, baseline catch, you fly in for the dunk, that sort of thing. Or sometimes block catch on a post up, kick it back out in the corner. There's a 3. They weren't able to get those paint touches as easily in the second half, and I think that affected Struthers maybe more than any other player in that first 8-10 minutes, and that's really where Sanford was able to separate and ultimately win the game. I will say, though, Jalen Haynes played 18 minutes in the second half. I don't know how much he played in the first half. I think it was most of it. For the game, he played, 33 minutes? That is really refreshing to see. And I know he picked up 3 personal fouls, but 2 of those were late. He played most of that game with 1 foul, and that's really encouraging to see because Jalen had been in foul trouble pretty much since December commencement. And it's difficult to keep him. He's a guy that's just a super reliable scorer when he's on the floor. The problem is he hasn't been on the floor enough for ETSU to be able to get to him consistently to where we can see the kind of performance that we saw last night. 18 points is great for Jalen Haynes. Would you like to see him hit more free throws? Of course you would. But to have him on the floor, to have him out there consistently, you have somebody that is both nimble and strong enough to drive forcefully through double teams to get to the rim. That completely changes the dynamic of your offense. And I think Haynes being on the floor for ETSU for a protracted period of time, like he was last night, an extended period of time like he was last night, is going to help the Bucks in the long run.
It's hard not to have the blue and goggles on. I've had them on for so long. I think last night was a step forward. I think we'll learn a lot about the team because they've been really good on the road, and they took a step forward at home. I think we'll know more. I know it's hard to say because you're 20 games in the season or whatever, but I think we're going to know more on Saturday's game against Chattanooga because even though some of the players don't feel the rivalry because of the way the game is and people are in and out and shuffling, same thing for Dan Earl and his squad, right? Dan Earl's never experienced ETSU in Chattanooga.
Right.
So we'll see how his fans maybe have a little extra juice in the building There's a little bit different feel to it. They're at a little bit of a slide 2-game losing streak. And it'll be interesting to see for Des Oliver and his squad, who's been good on the road, can they be able to kind of bound together and get something going, especially with, them being successful on the road, desperately needing a win to try to stay out of that kind of, that Friday matchup where you're in the Mercer VMI. So standings are a little off. Everybody's not played the same number of games as of yet. But Sanford's sitting there at 7-0. UNCG, again, they got a chance to go to 6-1, stay a game back. Furman with a huge winner at 5-2. Then Western, come from behind win for them, 4-3. And then you're talking about 3-4 teams. And 2 of them are getting together Saturday. Chattanooga and ETSU, the Terriers of Wofford, 3-4. Citadel, Mercer and VMI all playing tonight. Citadel and UNCG will get together. I'm going to call it. I'm going to go ahead. Not a bold prediction here, but UNCG will go to 6-1. Citadel goes to 2-5. And then does Mercer pick up their second win, or is VMI, who gets Mercer and Citadel this week, a chance to pick up their first win and get off the schneid? Either way, right now you're talking about Citadel, Mercer, VMI, as we talked about last week. Those teams right now projected to be in that 8, 9, 10. So who's going to be the 7? Is it Chattanooga? Is it Wofford? Is it ETSU? All right. Well, let's talk about results, because you got to start at the big one, right? The Furman game, which Chattanooga and Furman, I think, were tied at 66. Carter Witt,
a battle of wits,
who did not play against ETSU, had been hurt with a hamstring injury, I was told. Hadn't played for a while for old Bob Ritchie and the Furman Paladins. And, God, I wish I still had the Furman Paladin bumper. But the Furman
Paladins.
But Carter hits the big 3, puts them up 69-66, and then they go on to an 8-point win, 77-69, and a huge bounce-back game for Furman, and one that I'm sure Chattanooga would like to have back.
Yes. Witt hits that 3, and Chattanooga has a look to cut it to 1. They can't hit it. They have a shot at a 3. Jamal Walker can't knock it down. Witt ends up with a rebound, actually. And then out of a timeout, they drop a layup for Mike Bothwell, and they go up 5 with, about a minute left? Yeah, he hit that layup with 58 seconds left. There were a total of 10 points scored in the last 58 seconds of that game. That's the magic of free throws right there. That's a big win for Furman, to be able to go on the road and beat Chattanooga and, have players make decisive late game shots. That shows you what kind of team the Paladins are this year. I think Sanford and Furman are the most complete teams in the SoCon. After watching both of them, I think, Western Carolina, there's still, I think, a few question marks about the consistency of that team's offensive style, because they do take, I said this on the air last night, Sanford is 23rd in the country in made threes per game, and they're 5th in the Southern Conference. At Western Carolina, part of that is, a team like WCU that takes just a ton of threes and will make a lot of threes, but shoots a lower percentage than Sanford does. And that's because they can run hot and cold at times. I think Furman and Sanford have a more reliable paint presence between Dye and Slauson. Johnson also showed an ability to get to the rim last night. Sanford can go to the bench and get Achor, who is really just doing great work for them off the bench with what he can do with the rim on both ends of the floor. We saw him block, land funny on his ankle, get up hobbling, and streak down the floor, and then was open for a two-handed dunk. Like he ran around his man on the outside of the right wing and streaked in for the lob and the catch and the slam. When you have a guy like that you can go to on your bench, your team is pretty good. They're pretty good, and they still don't have Quez Glover. These are the two teams in my mind to beat. I haven't seen UNCG yet extensively, but they've obviously piled up a lot of wins. That is a team that is going to be in that mix as well, but I really have a hard time seeing any other outcome than Samford or Furman cutting down the nets in Asheville. Then again, like we said last week, or earlier this week, this league's not what it was. It is still open to chaos. Samford has played with fire a few times and won some close games. Furman has played with fire a couple of times and won some close games. At some point, they're going to lose a game that probably they shouldn't lose. And how do they respond to that is going to be really important. But Furman, tip your cap to the Paladins. Going into the Roundhouse and beating Chattanooga is historically not an easy thing to do. And to do it with clutch shooting from a bench guy that you brought in as a transfer to add depth. Really, he is a depth guy this year. Now, he won't be next year. Next year, he'll probably be a starter because Bothwell's gone. But that's somebody that is there right now to contribute to your bench and contribute as a rotational player rather than a star to make a big shot. And then, of course, your star comes in later and shows the star power, gets to the rim and scores it. That tells me that team has the pieces it needs. Just like Samford had the pieces it needed last night to hit big shots off the bench, to make clutch plays off the bench. They have the depth to be SoCon title contenders. And I think we saw that last night with the Paladins.
Middle of the pack game, I thought, needed to be talked about, too. Western Carolina with a big win. They were down 8 with 4:12 to go in the game.
Wow.
Able to get a layup and a 3, cut it to a 3-point lead. Wofford pushed it back to 5 at 1:53. They led by 4 with 33 seconds. The first time Western would have the lead in the second half, they got a 3 from Russell Jones Jr. with 20 seconds to go.
Wait, a 3 from Russell Jones? Shocker.
10 threes, by the way, for Western, if you want another number while they won a game. That's the magic number. But Russell Jones gives them the lead with 20 seconds. After a missed layup, it was free throws the rest of the way, and they go on to a 76-71 win for the Catamounts. A nice come-from-behind victory. And again, Catamounts, they get to 10 threes. They are tough to beat.
Yep.
They hit 5, 6, 7. They don't win a lot of games.
They were 40% from 3 as well. I think that efficiency is also significant. And every night it's a different guy. I talk about, they got a clutch 3 from Russell Jones. Wow, shocker, after what we saw in Freedom Hall. That was his only made 3 of the night. He was 1 for 6. 1 for 7 from the field. Last night, the big performance came from Trey Jackson. Sometimes it comes from Jones. Sometimes it might come from somebody off the bench, like Tyler Harris wasn't off the bench, but it could come from anybody. Anybody on that team could go off at any given night, and there are going to be nights where one guy goes off and they have a pretty good shot to win, where 2 guys go off and they got a great chance to win, or 3 of them go off and they just blow somebody out of the gym. And there are going to be nights where none of them go off and they lose by 25, and you're like, how in the world did that happen? Well, this is a team that they all ran into a funk at the same time.
And Claude,
that's going to happen to him, yeah.
I was going to say, even Claude, because if he's giving you 15 or 16 inside and those guys are hitting outside, and they got enough guys. The Woolbright kid, excellent driver, right?
He's so good.
He
is good at everything. Well, he doesn't shoot threes, but his game is so finely tuned. He, to me, is the guy that makes that team go. Like, that's it. He is the player that creates offense. He creates those looks off the catch and shoot for other guys, because I don't really recall a lot of stuff happening necessarily off the bounce for Western. Like, they didn't do a lot of stuff off the dribble. It was mostly, drive, pass, catch, shoot, paint, touch, funnel the ball out to your shooters, and that largely went through Woolbright in some shape, form, or fashion. And when he goes up for rebounds, he works with Claude for rebounds, and he's got the ability to get into the lane himself. And sometimes you don't kick it, right? That's how you keep a defense honest, so that they don't park a guy out behind you to prevent the trailer 3 or the kick out 3. You got to be able to take it to the rim yourself, and Woolbright does that as well as anybody in the league.
Yeah, and I don't know that Claude's as big as or as good as Carlos Dotson was a few years ago down in the post. They're definitely different players, but what they are very good at, both guys are efficient And Claude goes, again, 6 for 9 from the field. And more importantly, he's free throws. He's a good free throw shooter, 4 or 5 from the stripe. And, I mean, he's solid. Woolbright can drive. Jones can drive. They've got enough shooters with Jackson. And if Jones is hitting, Harris can give you points. So Western's got some nice pieces. Again, it's heavy on the three-point shooting. And for Wofford, I don't know what exactly it is they're missing. To me, and I've not watched the game yet, and I usually try to go back and at least skim. And football, I have enough time because there's one game a week and not that much that you can watch all the games. Right. I can't watch. I try to watch some. I do want to watch a little piece of this because BJ Mack just 2 of 5 shooting. Maybe they did. That's what I want to see. Did they do a great job of denying him, staying on him, not giving him a chance to breathe?
Yeah, it looks like they were physical with him because he was 5. I mean, he went to the free throw line and got half his points there.
But 5 shots does not, on face value, without watching the game, on face value, doesn't look like enough shots for my liking for BJ Mack. Now, when he plays ETSU, I would like, BJ, if you're listening, about 3 shots from you. That would be awesome. If you would like to do that, ETSU fans would thank you. But in reality, because I enjoy all Southern Conference basketball, and I enjoy all great players, and I think BJ is an upper echelon player for the Southern Conference, and he gets 5 shots. I mean, I just think again, I want to go back and watch that because there's some interesting things. I want to see the end of the game, how Western kind of was able to erase the 9-point deficit in the last 5 minutes, but I also want to watch early in the game to see what were they doing to BJ Mack because, I mean, played 31 minutes. I'm trying to see, was he in foul trouble? He had 1 foul. So it wasn't even that. So I don't know. Like I said, I'll be interested to see, just as a basketball fan of the Southern Conference, to kind of see what happened in the game that BJ wasn't able to kind of get it going. Now that being said, we're going to talk Friday. We'll break down a little bit more the games coming up. We're going to talk ETSU. Tomorrow. Let's backtrack. Women got a game tonight. Let's pump that a little bit, all right? ETSU women will play 7 o'clock. Jackie Carson and the Furman Paladins, Timmons Arena, 6:30 airtime, 7 o'clock tip. So we will have a full breakdown of the women's game. We will preview their Saturday affair with the Wofford Terriers. We'll talk about ETSU and Chattanooga because I don't know anything other than to talk ETSU Chattanooga. Yeah. We'll talk Southern Conference basketball for sure. So we will do a full breakdown of that. Plus, we'll give a quick wrap-up of other games that happen on the men's side. There's a couple games tonight. On the women's side, there's 3 games, I think, happening tonight. It's a full slate for the women tonight. Yeah, so we'll be able to talk about that as well. We'll do a little of the previews. So we're going to transition, though. Yeah, he's right here. I mean, he's got the bike helmet in his hand, or the motorcycle helmet in his hand. He has good hair. Ready to sit down. Phenomenal hair and phenomenal athlete. Zach Borisch, the newest member of the running backs room at East Tennessee State University. Oh, it's a good day because we're talking football. I like football. You like football? Yeah, I love football. Yeah. You know who else loves football? Yeah, I somebody whose position is football player. I think that's pretty much what we could describe him as. I think he's listed as a running back at ETSU, but he's done it. He's done it all. He's a running back, wide receiver, quarterback, accomplished judo fighter, sparring partner to the stars. I think. I don't know. We'll get some background on that. But Zach Borisch, ETSU football, is with us, transfer in from University of Idaho, Pride of Kennewick, Washington. Great to see you, Zach. How excited are you to be in Johnson City, just your first few days experiencing the Buccaneer life?
It's exciting. I'm just kind of getting started, still getting all the physical weight starts today, so had a quick little team meeting on, I think it was Monday. Mm-hmm. Yep, and then got to meet a few of the guys, a lot of cool guys on the team, so I'm pretty excited to get rolling. What
tipped you over the edge into saying I want to be at East Tennessee State when you were looking to transfer?
The coaching staff, they were very welcoming. It seemed like they were really excited about using me, and that's really what I want to do. Is I want to play football, And
I guess the obvious question is, we get a lot of kids from a lot of different states, but the state of Washington is not necessarily the hotbed for ETSU recruiting. I know how the world works and social media and everything's kind of changed and broadened the horizons, but have you heard and what did you know about ETSU before the coaching staff reached out?
I hadn't even heard of ETSU. I didn't know about ETSU. I mean, I am the farthest recruit that we have right now, being all the way in Washington State. It was a good old 36-hour drive for me, so it took a little while to get here, but beautiful country to drive through. But yeah, I mean, didn't know anything, but I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to play in the SoCon conference and score a lot of touchdowns.
So when you made the decision to transfer away from Idaho, which is a program on the upswing, right? You know, Jay Sadek brought a lot of energy. They had a lot of success this year. You said earlier you were looking to play. That's something I've heard about Zach Borisch is he wants to play. So what do you think you bring to the table for the Bucks that's going to help you play right away?
I think my versatility and my ability with the football in my hands is dynamic, and I think that I can make a big impact in a bunch of different areas when I'm given the football out, through the center, through the guards, and on the outside, just really anywhere that we can be creative to get the ball to me.
When you talk scheme, and I don't know how much they took you to the whiteboard and talked about the X's and O's and things with George Quarles and Price Partrick and the offensive staff, but what did they tell you about the way they wanted to utilize running backs in particular, and especially somebody who has played a variety of different positions who can be kind of a Swiss Army knife out of the backfield?
The offense is still kind of being put together in a way. They kind of want to run a lot of the same plays, but out of different formations, kind of to confuse defenses. So, you'll see a lot of what I'm understanding is a lot of the same concepts. I haven't gotten the playbook and whatnot yet. A lot of the same concepts out of different positions, and they want to be able to move personnel into different areas just to be more confusing, but still get the same esque of what they're trying to do.
And I don't want to oversimplify football, but a lot of football is the same play. It's just different looks how you get into the play. Is it two guards pulling? Is it a center and a guard? Is it a tackle? I mean, there's a lot of different things, but the same concept for line can change on some plays, and same thing for running back. But it's a lot of the same stuff that's just done differently with motion, mismatches, all that good stuff. With George Quarles, one thing we knew when he was the coordinator at Furman, before he came to ETSU, a league opponent, I can tell you two things for sure. He loves some outside zone. So if you like trying to get out on the edge, which I've seen some of your tape, seems like you do, and if you like to get the ball in space, so outside zone or in space, it seems like to me that's right up your alley.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Excited to see how the offense pieces together as we go through spring ball and into the fall camp and then into season.
So that's the one thing, I guess. Did they show any film? Because we had been blessed with dynamic running backs. They just 2 years ago or season and a few months ago removed from the all-time leading rusher Quay Holmes graduating and moving on. Then you had last year Jacob Sailors was a little bit of the everything. He returned kicks, lead running back, caught the ball in the backfield. Both those guys tremendous there. So ETSU takes some great pride in some running backs. Did they show you anything what those guys have done?
No, but Coach Horn told me quite a bit about those guys and how special they were and how, they need somebody to kind of take the reins and do stuff like that because they were a very, very special part of this offense.
Another thing with Jacob and the running backs, I think in general, is the intangibles that they can bring. And those, Jacob in particular would take guys aside and he would make sure that they were having a good experience. Like he wanted to be the good outreach, culture building teammate. Do you think that's part of what you can bring to the table in Johnson City?
Yeah, I think leadership's just a big part of being a big impact player on the team is you have to, make sure everyone's feeling comfortable and is following the same direction that the team needs to be following throughout the year. So, yeah, I'm excited. I still got to meet the guys quite a bit more. I haven't really gotten into the scene necessarily, but I will today once lifting starts.
Yeah, it seems like you're not very good at social skills because you're laughing, smiling, you're excited, everything. You commit to go 36 hours. It's not because you're shy and don't want to take on a challenge, right? So talk a little bit about you, and let's dive in a little bit about your football journey. And when did you know football was a way to go, and what other sports did you play leading up before football became an ultimate decision?
Football has kind of always been my favorite sport. As a kid, my dad played receiver around the decathlon at A&M, and he He's a pretty fast guy. And then grew up always football season was football season. We did judo. It's like an Olympic martial art. We did that all throughout the year except for when it was football season. When it's football time, it's football time in the house. So kind of every year, play ball, and then we get into high school. That's when I was like really like, I mean, even as a kid, I wanted to go to the NFL. It's every kid's dream. And then once you get to high school, it went really, really well. You know, I got the start at the end of my sophomore year, or into my junior year, all my junior year. Senior year, we go all the way to the state championships. We win it for the first time in city history out of all 3 schools. And, you know, it was like the first time like a private school had been beaten in like 26 years or something like that in the 3A classification. So it was a really, really good run. Got offered by Idaho, went there. Ended up playing safety for a while, and then made the transition to offense, and was actually super far back on the running back depth chart. I was like 5th string running back. Me and the head coach at the time, we had an interesting relationship, and then we had all the quarterbacks go out with COVID and injuries, concussions, and they gave me a call on the phone. They're like, hey, you know, we're going against number 2 in the country Eastern this week, and we don't have a quarterback, so you're going to play quarterback. And I ended up rushing for over 200 yards, and that was kind of like where it started. And I started playing a lot, primarily as like a wildcat quarterback, would mix in at running back, and it was really exciting. I loved it a lot. And then had the new coaching staff come in, and you know, it just didn't mesh as well. We had some really, they moved me to primarily receiver, and you know, tough part of that is I had an All-American guy right there, and it was my first year of really playing receiver. So it was more kind of learning from JJ. Great teammate. Coaching staff is a bunch of good people, and they're really, really smart over there at Idaho, and I wish them nothing but the best. But then decided, you know, I can't really end my last year like that, so I hit the portal, and I was like, Coach Horn got a hold of me, and I loved Coach Horn. I love the guys here, and I was like, I think this would be a fun new journey, and see what happens.
Yeah. Now, Eastern Washington, I mean, you're from Kennewick, it's Tri-Cities area with, I think it's Richland and Pasco or the other Tri-Cities. That's out, you know, Walla Walla, and you've got, was it Wenatchee and Spokane and Cheney up there in the northeastern part of Eastern Washington. Yakima's in there as well, but I don't think anybody actually goes to Yakima. I went to Yakima for 3 days one time. I don't think I ever saw anybody smile. What is your favorite thing to do outside in Eastern Washington when you're not working on football stuff?
Oh, I love to ski and snowboard in the winter.
Okay.
That's like my thing, is skiing and snowboarding. And then the Tri-Cities, Washington, which is kind of crazy because this is the Tri-Cities, Tennessee, and you guys are in Washington County, which is even crazy.
Yeah, another good time.
I was like, wow, you know, it really went full turn. But I love it in the summer. I love to boat. I love wakeboarding, surfing. All the time. That's what I do all summer. All winter, I ski and snowboard. I actually, I'll snowboard on the powder days, and I'll ski on the groomer days. So do a little bit of both. But yeah, I mean, that's what I like to do on the outside. I mean, I rode my enduro here. I like to dirt bike quite a bit. So just a lot of the fun outdoorsy stuff.
You'll have a lot of fun opportunities to do that as well out here.
And again, the terrain, you know, besides elevation being different, I mean, you're the exact same type scenario, because again, you can do all of that. In an hour, you can do some skiing. If you want bigger slopes, 2 or 3 hours, you can go do some skiing. Plenty of lakes, wakeboarding things going on, and then the dirt biking scene has picked up. Whether that's bicycling or motorcycle. So again, this is a good fit there. Did some of that factor in? Because sometimes football I want to play, but sometimes like it seems like you're wanting to experience a little bit of life as well.
I mean, to be completely honest, this is more of a let's buckle down, let's play ball this year. So it's not a go out and experience, and you know, I really want to just put my time in the weight room, put my time on the track, and be running and catching and be ready for my last season of football.
How does judo make you a better football player?
You know, that's everyone asks me that. Everyone asks me that, and I don't know. My dad says it helps my balance a lot. You know, it's like if you've been doing it since you're 4.5, you don't really know how it helps you. I would say, you know, I wrestled too. I think it's probably a lot to do with toughness, and a little bit with balance. I think like body coordination, but really, I mean, not make excuses, be able to kind of get beat up and get back up over and over and over.
So let me see if I have this right, because this is how it was explained to me, is that you used to spar with Ronda Rousey's sparring partner. Is that right?
No, so Ronda Rousey used to fight Miesha Tate, who originally
Yes.
held the belt.
Right.
Miesha Tate, I helped with. So, like, I would go to the dojo with Miesha Tate, and I would practice throws because Ronda was a really big thrower. She did judo. So I would just have Miesha kind of beat me up for 45 minutes, every week or whatever. And I was kind of like her. I would practice whatever Ronda was good at, and she would just take me down and practice her leg defense or like her takedown defense with me. So that was like, I met Miesha when I was 13 or 14, and we did that for a few years, and then I kind of outgrew that size. So I wasn't exactly the perfect size to be Ronda Rousey, because I was like 135, 145 was what she was fighting at the time. And then, it was like, then I started to get 155, 165, 175, and kind of grew out of that.
What was the is she from that, Miesha Tate? Is she from
So
that area?
she's from Seattle. She trained quite a bit. Our Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu professor, he lived in Yakima, so she'd be in Yakima quite a bit. And her wrestling coach lived in Tri-Cities, and he coached at Chiawana Jack Anderson. He was a wrestling coach there. So when she came in, she was like, oh yeah, like Ronda's like, she kicked my butt last time. She's really good at judo. He's like, oh dude, I've got the perfect kid for you, and gave my dad a call, and I went over there, and I wasn't really into UFC just quite yet, and I was like, oh, like, nice to meet you, and then started helping out, and that was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. She's a great person. I even went down last New Year's to Vegas and saw her at the UFC Fight Pass Center and got to work out with her for a little bit. Got to see like Francis Ngannou and stuff. It was pretty cool.
I'm just blown away. I'm just trying to think of 13-year-old sparring partner to someone who will become a UFC champion at some point. And so when she became champion, did you claim like a quarter of that, a 16th of that? Is there any type of, I got a little bit of that belt in your mind? I mean, clearly you're not going to thump your chest. I'm just saying, like, is there a little bit of like, I kind of helped do that?
It was really, really cool to see her on TV and be like, wow, I helped. But she had held the belt, and then Ronda had beat her, and then I helped with her second training camp and her third, and Ronda ended up getting the wins on those. So apparently I didn't help at all.
Oh.
So that was, but I was like, it was cool to see her on TV, but Ronda was kind of a freak that could not be beaten at that time. So that was but she was the champ first, so it was cool.
Tell us a little about your family. Right, you've talked a lot about your dad. What is your family like? What do they do, and how much of an impact have they had on your life to this point?
My whole entire family, my grandparents are the greatest people in the world. Grandma and grandpa, they live right down the road from us. They help out with everything. Then I have a little brother, Gabe, a little sister, Asia, an older sister, Morgan, and an older brother, Samuel. So there's 5 of us total.
So you got the middle kid syndrome.
I'm the middle kid, yeah.
Okay.
That's why it was like I really have to like try to be perfect, because you don't get much love in the middle, right? So older brother just got out of the Army. He's now started his own construction business in Montana. He loves Montana. Oldest sister is a fashion designer down in LA, Morgan. My little sister's going to esthetician school. She wrestled at Colorado Mesa, but then she got a little homesick. It's a little far from home. She's a homebody. She just doesn't like to admit it. My little brother Gabe he's wrestling right now, and he's doing really, really well. He is a very, very athletic kid. He's very, very fast. He was like a 5th fastest on the football team as a freshman out of all the upperclassmen and seniors and stuff. Pretty cool. Kid can move. Very athletic, so he's going to be a really special athlete here soon.
Well, that's one thing I've learned about the youngest kid. They have to learn how to run very fast, very quickly, right? I mean, you know what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah.
And then they got to be tough, because usually even the sisters tend to beat up on the little brothers.
No, yeah, no. He keeps saying when he turns 16 he's gonna kick my A, but he's still quite a bit of ways from that. So he's tried. He'll get there eventually, I hope, because I kind of want to be able to have someone to fight.
You should tell him that Tate can do it, so he can't do it. That's what
yeah.
Come on, if the champ can't do it, what are you going to do?
Yeah. No, I hope he can. He's just he still doesn't fight me. He's still like goes and crawls up in fetal position whenever I go to beat him up. So I'm hoping he gets a little tougher after this wrestling season. First year in high school.
Oh man, that's all terrific. So I guess we're kind of winding down here with Zach Borisch, ETSU running back. Zach, at the end of every interview, I like to ask the athletes that come on to ask a question for the next athlete who comes on. And you don't know who it's going to be, but we will ask them a question that you want to know the answer to. It could be anybody. It could be a volleyball player. It could be a football player. It could be a basketball player. It could be anybody. You ask a question, and we will ask that question to the next athlete that sits in that chair.
What do I want to know? What is...
Normally we try to give people lead time with this, but I figured I'd put you on the spot because you've handled everything really well to this point.
Yeah, let's do what is, this is kind of odd, but I do kind of want to know, what is the best airport to fly out of near here if I want to go home? Is it Atlanta, Knoxville? Do I want to drive to Nashville to get all the way to Spokane? Like, what has the most... You know,
I believe Tri-Cities connects to Dallas. Right, you can go. So if you can get DFW,
but I don't think not every day. So the two other Tri-Cities, Charlotte and Atlanta, is the two big hubs, and then they'll go to Dallas, and every once in a while they go to Orlando, but not every day. Asheville, Knoxville is a little bit more. Sometimes you can catch directs. There are a lot of buddies I know that go. I'm not obviously a big UFC guy. You could tell.
Now we're answering his question. His question's for the athletes.
I know, but the athlete doesn't know what I'm answering.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to believe, Keith, that all of our athletes listen to every second of all of our podcasts. But let's be honest. Right?
How far is Charlotte from here?
About 320.
Yeah,
320.
315.
Have you guys ever flown on Allegiant Air?
I have. I actually did Knoxville to Vegas on Allegiant.
Yeah,
it's
I have
pretty
not done
cheap.
Allegiant.
It's like.
And if you do a carry-on, they get you on the luggage.
They get you on the luggage.
So you need to do the carry-on if you're going to do it.
Yeah, I only do a carry-on. I just pack a backpack, and I'm like, let's roll. I think that's the way to go.
I wish I could live out of a backpack. That's just TV life. That's suit and tie life. Unfortunately, you got to have the big bags. So I do love to travel with just a carry-on though. It's fun. It's freeing to do it that way.
Right. If I'm not traveling for work, I try not to do the carry. The problem is I have a wife who brings like the 8 suitcases. That's like a max capacity weight, and all of because there's the day outfit, the night outfit, the kids have the outfits. So I got one. So when I go like with my buddies for that, I'm the backpack. A backpack for a week gets me done.
Is this the flight attire for Zach Borisch? The ball cap, windbreaker, and sweats.
Yeah, usually it's not a windbreaker. Usually it's like a zip-up Columbia. I'm a big Columbia guy. I love wearing Columbia. But yeah, no, this is how I usually fly. But usually for Allegiant too, it's a personal item and a carry-on you can bring,
Right.
But your personal item has to be like really small. So what I do is I have the big like duffel bag filled up as much as I can with clothes, and just set it in the back of the line where I could like see it when I walk up to the kiosk to get my ticket. And I have my backpack on that looks like my carry-on. And I walk in. After I get it, I walk over, grab my carry-on.
That's slick.
Walk in.
Slick. That's non-linear thinking. That's what judo does for you.
Yeah.
Non-linear thinking. Thinking on your feet.
Exactly.
All right, Zach. Listen, man, we appreciate it. Great to have you at ETSU.
Thank you guys
Look
for
forward
having
to
me.
watching
I
you on the
appreciate
field. And man, if you enjoy the Tri-Cities or you need any tips on stuff, I don't know that me and Keith are the best outdoors guys in America, but we can get you in touch with somebody.
Okay, sweet. Actually, you can ask the next person where the best pot of fish is, because I do like fishing.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one too.
We can do that.
Let's do that one. Let's do that one instead. All right, thank you guys.
All right, that's it. Zach Borisch.
Zach Borisch. Wow, what a guy. That's fun. Great conversation with him.
Interesting.
Miesha Tate, sparring partner. Pretty neat.
Clearly, I proved my UFC knowledge very well in that, didn't I?
Yeah, very.
Yeah, when she won. No, actually, she lost like 5 times.
She lost multiple times, and Rousey is a legend.
I know, but somebody eventually knocked off Rousey and put her in professional wrestling.
That's true.
Which she's not been good at. Not that we need to get a pro wrestling debate here, but
Zach's great. I mean, I'm really looking forward to our conversation. Our next interview will be in a subsequent episode, probably either tomorrow or Monday. We'll hear from new ETSU safety Jamie Collier, who transferred in from Ohio University, and another gregarious personality.
Great town, Athens, Ohio. I don't know if you've been there. Great town.
The fighting Russ Eisensteins, yeah.
I like Russ too. Well, Russ is an interesting cat.
Yes. Yes, he is.
Love Athens.
I love Russ, but he is interesting.
I got to ask him some Frank Solich stuff. I got family in Nebraska.
Yeah.
Frank was there when he started at Ohio. So, anyways, got to get some of those questions in. We'll figure out. We'll talk Jamie.
I have heard through the grapevine, Jamie Collier is a big country music fan, which is interesting and kind of neat. And certainly, he's in the right part of the country. You know, if you love country, we got bluegrass for you here. That's like country's cool uncle. That's good. Yeah.
You're going to be shocked by this. I know nothing about music.
I know you don't.
I know nothing about nothing.
You've lived in Tennessee for how long?
I've lived in Johnson City except for the year and
Except
a
for the
half.
whole Iraq thing.
And the year and a half when I graduated, I went down and
to Gainesville,
Ocala, Gainesville. So other than that, and the year so since '95, only 2.5 years. I haven't lived in Johnson
so you've lived
City
here
specifically
for about a quarter of a century.
More than anywhere else in my life. I moved around while I was a kid, so
a quarter of a century you've spent in Northeast Tennessee, and you haven't learned about bluegrass music.
Actually, have uncle by marriage. My wife's uncle is a world champion, and I think it's the mandolin.
Oh,
Does
yeah.
that sound right? Yeah.
Yeah, my fiance got to meet Ricky Skaggs one time as a kid.
Oh, Ricky Skaggs. I do know. I do know who these people are.
You know who Ricky Skaggs is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, there's
now,
your start.
if you ask me to name his top 5 songs or any of his songs, I probably can't. But I know who these people are.
Well, bluegrass is mostly standards at this point. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's a good show.
That's not true. There's still some fun bluegrass.
Yeah. Oh, wasn't it a good show? Oh, I
No,
thought you corrected that. I thought it was a good show.
I just said something that was not.
Whoa.
accurate, so.
Whoa. I thought you just yelled at our show.
No, the show was great.
Listen,
I enjoyed the show.
He didn't mean it.
No.
He didn't know.
He didn't know.
I wish I still had that.
Who wants to tell him? Maybe I just got to take the blue and goggles off.
I hate you. All right, don't forget,
you do.
Keith tonight, 7 o'clock is aired. No, 6:30 is airtime, 7 o'clock is the tip. ETSU Furman.
ETSU and Furman, looking forward to that one. Women's basketball trying to rally after a couple tough injuries on Saturday against Samford.
We're talking SoCon. We're talking ETSU women. Wofford tomorrow. We are talking ETSU men versus Chattanooga. A lot of basketball talk. We may talk to Jamie, not sure. If not, we'll get it on Monday. One or the other.
Works for me.
Jay and Keith. Buccaneers Network!
Listen to the bluegrass.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me!